It's Dandadan, the show where we talk about Dandadan, a manga about the Dum-Dum-Dums. The villains on the side of Count Saint Germain are growing, and it seems their new goal is to make friends with the Dum-Dum-Dums so that they can move forward their own agenda. Aww. Plus, we finally got the answer. Momo cannot remember how to use her powers. We will talk about what this means for Dandadan and as well your mom. Also, we will be discussing the backlash to the amnesia plotline and some of the very odd behaviors and stances I'm seeing. We'll talk about that later on in the video, so stick around. Also, I feel pretty bad for asking that now after finishing this video. Sorry for the long video, guys. Please forgive my ooga booga brain. Chapter 211 picks up from 210. Surprisingly, our perspective shifts for the chapter to Count Saint Germain and the... Wait, is that... That's the Kerbaddy, and oh my god, they're baking. Well, that was not on my Dandadan bingo list card thing. Either way, the Kerr and Count Saint Germain are absolutely totes adorbs in their bakery get-ups. Count James Chirperdam looks like a total goober with those sharp and evil eyes with the glasses on. I really love that. And the Kerbaddy looks equally as imposing and out of place with her eye patch and scars. And also, holy hell, she is swole AF, man. I think she's more jacked than Count Saint Germain or an Enra. And throughout this chapter, I mean, just look at, throughout this chapter, God, look at her. She looks like she could run through a brick wall like tissue paper. This woman is now my wife. I call dibs. But I like the characterizations of these two in this chapter quite a bit. I think that's probably one of the best parts of this chapter. The Kerbaddy is quite perplexed at the way that Count Saint Germain is behaving, as she is not sure why that he isn't just out there trying to kill Okaroon and they're here baking, which shows that the Kerr is all about the mission and her revenge, of course. But a wrinkle in this is that the suit, which Count Saint Germain, who I will now refer to as Jeremy to make it easier, gave the Kerbaddy, is seemingly useless to her. Jeremy tells her that it is because she is too weak and to stop pointing fingers and to get stronger. I thought that this was a very unfair dynamic that is being placed upon the two and gives another clear insight, I think, into how Jeremy subtly manipulates and maneuvers himself in these kinds of situations. I mean, just for example, it is the Kerbaddy who is asking the question in the first place, and it is her who is told by Jeremy that she is too weak and that it's not his fault. Well, it's hers. Typical man, just manning all over the place with the bakery, his weird bifocals, and his hoarding of the Kerbaddy. I mean, this guy sucks. Jeremy then tells Kerr that she has been hired to do a job, and that is to help at this bakery, to bake. Well, she is quite forward with telling him that this is not at all her thing, man. She's not a baker. And I like this dynamic quite a bit because it feels like that without all of the manipulation and toxicity around the context of this moment, like if you just remove those, it really does seem as if Jeremy is acting as like a kind of tough sensei to the Kerr. Because like this whole I'm no baker thing really does kind of get flipped on its head, allowing for a different and more holistic context when applied singularly to the Kerr. Now, what do I mean by this? I'll explain in just one moment, but for now, Jeremy tells Kerr that she is free to do whatever she pleases, as she has been hired for a specific job, which is to bake. And so he asks her to make some tasty geezer bread together with him. I thought that was interesting how Jeremy uses the words tasty here. It really does feel as if Tatsu is trying to humanize these characters a little bit more now and give them their own personalities beyond just being a, in this case of Jeremy, a master manipulator on the sidelines pulling the strings. I like that, as it makes a lot of these characters, especially him, feel much more charming, especially for the Kerr too, as we're going to get into. This is when we get the arrival of the beat-up baddie, in Enra, the smoke baddie. He gets his balls busted by Jeremy a bit, as when he shows up, he is welcomed via Jeremy acting as if he doesn't even know who he is. And this is just another bit of character building, which shows that he doesn't view his underlings like on his level and treats them as if they are nothing and expendable to him. This is something that we kind of already know about Jeremy, a very common personality trait amongst him, because by showing this disrespect he does to them, it places these two, the Kur and the Enra, below him, establishing a through line in their interactions. He is the boss. Everyone else are the pawns. He's a very cold man in that sense. But as for Enra, he is worse for wear, as he is beaten up and bruised, and canonically, he is confirmed to apparently smell like tobacco, which is... if you're one of those people that likes the smell of any car from the 1970s, then I guess he's cooler for you. Outside, Enra regrets to tell Jeremy that the lizard sent from the Serpo to help only ended up harming the mission. So this is interesting, because that means that Froggy Fresh had no relationship with him beyond just being this extra guy. So he kneels and presents the Kozuka in a case to return to Jeremy, which he's regretful over, because failing the mission, he takes that to heart and rests the blame only on his shoulders and takes responsibility, but he still promises that he will reclaim these abilities from the Dum-Da-Dums in due time. But in a surprising twist, Jeremy, he's actually really okay with it, because while they didn't win, they also didn't walk away with nothing. This next part was really cool, so I'll try to explain it as best as I possibly can. Jeremy looks at Enra and tells him that due to his efforts, they were able to obtain pertinent data on what he says is yokai suitability and the development of their powers. Okay, so here is where it gets really insane. And Enra helped discover Koki's new ability that she leveled up, her Lord of the Flies. On the other hand, because he revealed himself, this now means that the Sorcerers Association will get involved in the future, which, I mean, come on, we're definitely gonna see a bunch of MILF sorcerers, right? We gotta. Anyways, so now they have to lay low and be more covert and less open with their actions. On top of this, Jeremy tells Enra that he doesn't trust the Serpo and vice versa. He understands that the aliens want to understand and use the power of the yokai. So to change their approach, Jeremy suggests they do something bold. So they do that. And boy, is it pretty bold. He suggests that they turn the Dum-Da-Dums into their friends, because by getting closer to them, they can create the ultimate yokai. We then get a page of this naked man sitting on some sort of contraption, no doubt being used by Jeremy in the future. And I actually do have a theory on this. I'll save it for later in the theory section, though. So, as the Kur baddie is working, cursing Jeremy's existence for being so elusive, a child comes by to give a paper crane to the Kur as a token of her appreciation. Now, this is such a massive scene for this character, because the mother explains that the little girl appreciates how she bakes her bread with no additives while still making it tasty. So this was a thank you to her, and surprisingly, she really appreciated the gift, and for great reasons. This scene was placed here as a way to show the contrast between Kur's thoughts on herself and how the world actually interacts with her. What I mean is that, for example, in the beginning she says that she is no baker, but the girl coming by to tell her how tasty the bread is and has no additives is massive. It shows that she indeed is a baker who puts a lot of time and care into her work, even though she's not professionally one. And of course, most importantly, she puts a lot of attention into her work. And we can see this when Enra shows up and is immediately worried that she burned her bread before realizing who it actually was. At the same time, being considerate enough to not have any additives is huge because it's healthier. And when you're a parent or a child, you really want to have that kind of attention put into your food when you go to eat them. Your body is a temple and all that stuff, right? You want to give your child the best food possible. On top of that, you could see Kur Baddie's baking as her pursuing a type of catharsis or therapeutic retreat. Baking is often a very common hobby for people to pick up because it requires a lot of artistry and can be something you can learn and grow with over time. This is the perfect breeding ground for obtaining a more balanced and focused mind. And that's important for the Kur Baddie due to her tragic backstory. She needs a bit of help, right? I also did a bit more research on the paper cranes in Japan and what they symbolize in their society in the context of being a gift. It just adds so much more to this. So first off, the paper crane isn't just some token of appreciation. The crane is, according to Wikipedia, considered to be mystical or holy, and they were made as offerings for those going to shrines who specifically sought to be blessed. As a gift in this context, it symbolizes good luck, longevity, and hope. But get this, there is a tradition of folding 1,000 paper cranes called Symbolism, I believe is how you say it, based on a legend which promises a wish. So in that context, or I guess the overall context, it can represent and symbolize strength, resilience, and peace. But largely, the symbolic meanings overall, I think, can be listed out as good luck, longevity, hope, healing, peace, strength, resilience, loyalty, and permanence, which I think are all things that can apply to the Kerr baddie. Because for the Kerr, this is an important first step. She is someone with such a tragic past, losing her family, now wanting revenge because of it. This crane directly conflicts with the theme of revenge in her character. Because the symbolism for the cranes, well, I mean, look at it this way. The crane pushes back and battles against those ideals presented in themes of revenge. It's a counterbalance. Instead of revenge, you can embrace things like peace, then you can heal, and then you can become strong, and that means you're resilient, which then creates hope and longevity and good luck and etc., etc., etc. You could say that there is a same sort of rabbit hole effect that can happen on the opposite side with revenge, too. It builds up. And I think this moment really does symbolize that the purity of this child's intention has gotten through to the Kerr baddie. Because, as we remember, or we recall, the Kerr baddie is a mother herself, or was. She knows what it means to her, the child. I think from here on out, the Kerr baddie will begin to, dig out her soul and progress quite a bit into something more. And I can't wait for that, because she is wanting to effectively kill kids, which is something that someone else did to her. All I'm saying, guys, is enemy to friend, anyone? But oh no, we can't have tropes in Dandadan. Not anymore. That means it's crashing out. On the flip side, while Kerr begins to embrace her own, I guess you would call it Kerrmanity. I mean, she doesn't have humanity, right? She's not a human. Anyways, and Enra rejects his humanity, with what's left of it, I guess. He doesn't see the need in pretending to buddy it up with the common people. He sees himself as nobility and above that of the peasants. And I like that juxtaposition because I think even Enra will probably head down a similar path that the Kerr baddie does, but in his own unique way that doesn't start with some sort of crane, Obviously, I'm not sure, but by the end of this saga, at the very least, I think Kerr and Enra will probably grow to become maybe quite compassionate and empathetic individuals. I think namely Enra has a whole lot of room to grow, and I feel like, I don't know, guys, I think he may be a cutie by the end of this arc. I'm just saying, I think we may be really endeared towards him. He seems like one of those teenage punks. But once again, we can't have tropes or anything like that. Not anymore. This is bad. Crashing out. Right now, though, I do get the idea that he is some young kid with this chip on his shoulder, though. And Kerr baddie is someone who is, soul-searching, maybe looking for peace for herself and her race and family, some sort of avenging, but through, I don't know. We'll just have to see. So. The rest of the chapter focuses much more on the Dum-de-Dums, namely Seiko Ayase and Gigi. Gigi tells Seiko of the Enra, claiming himself to be the Red Baron. Now, Seiko understands immediately what this means, which... bad juju immediately. That's the feeling that I got. She recalls a long time ago when an exorcist who was her friend was injured during a mission. And not even the local shaman could exorcise because this yokai was just a dude. Just a human, man. You can't exorcise those. I mean, you could. That'd be kind of violent. But these people are known as the Black Paladins. Their job is to collect the powers of the yokai and curses and use such acquired abilities to be hired by companies to then crush their rivals, mostly by killing them in some cases. Most cases. Probably every case. And it seems that Enra may be the legendary assassin known as the Flying Ace. And judging by Seiko mentioning that the Sorcerers Association cannot wait to see all of the MILFs in the Sorcerers Association, has put out alerts, which confirms that Jeremy said by now having to lay low. It seems that the flying ace is here. And as Seiko put it, this is especially bad because they were an overseas organization and now they are in Japan. Oof. And hey, like clockwork, Seiko feels as if she has failed the young ones by not protecting them from the flying ace. But Gigi reminds Seiko that she is always protecting them. She's always doing the right thing. And it was she who gave him the strength to defeat the Enra. I like that because Seiko arguably, I think, should never stray from this kind of mindfulness. It is up to Seiko to protect and guide them, and while it is sad to see her worry so much, I think her wrestling with this inner conflict is something that just has to eventually pay off in the future. Whether Seiko dies later in the story to save the others, which I don't even want to think about, or if this all pays off with Gigi learning to carry the torch Seiko lit for him even further than she has. I mean, this is just the perfect setup for the student becoming the master, and the master finally being able to see the fruits of all of her suffering, worry, and labor. And really, honestly, guys, I mean, you gotta love Seiko, man. Just as like a human, like an individual human. We need more people with her mindset and temperament in our world. Holy crap. We then see Momo committing heinous war crimes via rejecting Bamura's hugs, and I will not stand for these treasonous acts. Bamura is the best alien mom ever. Accept the hugs or you will die. Okay, well, we got it confirmed that Momo not only doesn't remember Okarun, but now she doesn't remember her powers either, which is very Captain Obvious. But I'm going to say it, I need a little bit of an ego boost, man. I really need it this week. I'm very tired. I am grateful for being right about a theory that I had, though. Thanks. I appreciate it. No matter how obvious it was. Namaste. Oh boy, I think I'm going to make a video about this because it's just something that I feel would be good to put out there and have its own singular topic for people to talk about and, you know, push back a little bit against what I'm about to talk about. But, I mean, let's talk about it. I want to put up some comments that inspired this thought that occurred to me, or them, guys, gals, can we calm the hell down about this amnesia plotline? I'm saying this as a friend. You are annoying the customers. The fact that this plotline has had such a strong reaction in a negative sense just boggles my mind after seeing why people are so mad about it. The first week, yeah, I mean, I even talked about it. I was like, yeah, this is kind of obvious. Like, it feels a little weird. But we're 2 weeks in, and the reason is because think about it. I mean, just think about it. Literally just think about it. How many times has Yukinobu Tatsu used tropes and cliches throughout Dandadan? Nearly, if not every single arc or saga or character or whatever, and nobody complained a bit. But as soon as it is obvious that he is doing an amnesia plotline, suddenly it is all like all that goodwill and trust is just completely gone, to the point that apparently the series is now crashing out and even the lore is bad now. Like, what world am I living in? What happened in the span of 2 weeks? Make the criticisms consistent. This is not consistent. Just say you are worried about the plotline. 2 chapters into a new arc, you can't just suddenly say everything is bad and Tatsu is crashing out real down badly and all the things and the words and the hyperbole. Stop thinking out loud, respectfully, of course. I'm not going to tell you to do anything, right? I'm not trying to be demanding here. Let's just be a tad bit more patient when we have 209 chapters of really great and amazing examples of Tatsu using tropes and cliches that are just as obvious as this amnesia setup, and lo and behold, is beloved and has no complaints. Did we forget? How did we forget this? Oh, and by the way, for all the sassy people, and I get it, I'm sassy too. Don't tell me that otherwise, because I will have to start pointing out all of your favorites, like Momo, Okarun, Enra, and God forbid Gigi being cliche as fuck. Starting out. Holy crap, did we forget about our main characters' introductions? Don't make me, man. Don't fucking make me, dude. Don't even make me bring a Kuchiku. So this naked dude, I think this guy is going to be a puppet for all of the powers they collect. I mean, this is just a thought. I'm like 20% confident in this theory at most, and about like 15% right now as I'm writing it. At the end of BioShock, you fight an enemy that is basically a guy who was injected with all these plasmids or whatever. And he's like a super powerful super soldier. I'm just spitballing here, but my guess is probably the same here. Like, inject him up the wazoo with a ton of yokai and curses to create the ultimate puppet of mass destruction. Or, I mean, he could just be a blank person who acts as a host for said power, even. Just like a single individual power. Like, think about it this way. This is a pretty cool theory. Maybe an Enra was a person before all of this and was cursed by the Enra and became a host or something. Like, yeah, okay, I'm probably explaining this poorly. Let me explain it with an example. Sort of like Chainsaw Man, how Powie works. She's the blood fiend that she took over the corpse of a dead girl, therefore is the blood fiend Powie. I'm not really sure. I'm just spitballing here. And I just kind of wish the Rize arc movie would come out a bit sooner. Either way, I appreciate you guys watching this ADHD rant. I've been ADHD for the past few weeks. I apologize. But I think the further complaints that this chapter was too short was also kind of dumb too. Like, I think this is on the content creator side. You guys would never run into this. At least I don't think. Unless you're a content creator. Hello. Hi. How are you? We should collaborate. I just think it is really funny that the weeks a chapter comes out and people, like, for lack of a better term, and I don't mean to be rude here, but cry about there being nothing happening in these chapters. I sit here and make a 7-page script on just one chapter, confused, like, what? Are we reading the same manga? By the way, I'm very annoyed this week, so I apologize if you found that annoying. I'm just like, I don't know. Just keep the criticism consistent. If me, the guy who is horrible at communicating, can type all this out and realize how lopsided this whole Dandadan is crashing out over an amnesia plotline stuff, I don't know, man. I don't, you know? If you enjoyed this video somehow, good for you. There is more on the screen to watch. As well, join my Discord community, mi amigo. We have cookies and memes. Make it a great day or not. The choice is yours.